Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mick Foley Extra here on this wonderful DVD. Of course, I am the coach alongside the man of the hour. What this is really all about, Mick Foley. I appreciate you having me as a part of your new DVD.
See, I thought you were going to say the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour.
Well, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to June 20th, 1992. This is the WCW Beach Blast.
Right.
Yourself, Cactus Jack versus Sting, no disqualifications, falls count anywhere. Tell me about the lead-up to this match, a non-title match in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, who made a non-title match? That was a good seller for pay-per-view. It really adds some mystique to the match. It was a big match for me, Coach. Believe it or not, I just got over it. It was a backslide, but I'm going to kick that out. Who's getting who? I'm not going to put an extra on it and have it end with a backslide in 17 seconds. I'd actually had whooping cough and did not know it, but it had created an atmosphere where, now this is something interesting here. I go to shoot Sting in, and nothing was there. And thankfully, he kind of turned it around and ended up backdropping on the ramp. I missed that ramp. I think he should make a return on one of the WWE shows. It really gave us a chance to do some pretty cool things on a fabric or on a substance that the fans knew was kind of hard. And let's face it, that was part of the appeal. Cactus Jack took the blows and kept on going. But at this point, like I said, I'd been having trouble breathing, and it really affected my matches, and I wasn't sure I could continue. I kind of came out of it. I started training hard, believe it or not. I was actually in some pretty good shape for this, down to 290 from about 310, and put on what I felt was my greatest match up to that point. And for several years following this, I would continue to call this match the greatest in my career.
Now, I know at this particular time, this was your second stint in the WCW. Talk about, now right there, I don't even want to.
Well, what I'm doing there is I'm working on Sting's ribs. He had hurt his ribs legitimately in a match with Vader. And as a build-up to this match, Coach, we did something kind of interesting. I think I'm going to go for a fall. And he said 1, 2, 3. There it is, the greatest match. Oh, I'm just kidding. As a way to illustrate what I was going to do with his ribs, I attempted to do a flying headbutt to a wooden crate. And tell you the truth, Coach, I gave no thought to what would happen to my head after it went through that crate. And what happened is it bounced like a basketball off the cold concrete floor of the theater there. I think it was Theater 1 or something in Atlanta, and nearly knocked myself out. So while JR, who was our announcer at the time, was going, "Look at Cactus, he's a dangerous man." Meanwhile, I was like, my tongue was out and I was drooling. So it was kind of ugly.
Now, at this particular time in your career, did you ever think about, you just said you didn't think at this particular time.
Yes.
Did you ever think about,
Coach, you're not going to acknowledge the sunset flip off the apron. Oh, my goodness.
Did you ever think about what you're going to do at any time? Because you were crazy in the early 90s to the mid-90s, really.
Yeah. Some would say that, my wildest days were before I entered the WWE, but I think the stuff I did stands up on its own, and
Absolutely.
it was more fine-tuned. I had a chance to work with really better performers. Although Sting was an excellent performer and actually did quite a bit for my career. I took those guardrails hard, Coach. That was one of the secrets, I think, is that people knew that when I did stuff, I did it full tilt. And for the fans, they're looking for the loophole, saying, geez, how's he protecting his head? The answer is, I wasn't, Coach. I kind of took those railings the hard way.
Now, at this point in your career, how important was it, and even up until the late 90s and early 2000s, to work with an established star like Sting and have a match like this to really elevate your own career?
Man, I'm lucky. I kind of walked into this whole second stint in WCW kind of naive. I was told I was going to be working some matches with Sting. I didn't know it was intended as a short-term program. Had I known that, I would have entered in with a little bit of trepidation, which is a favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin word, believe it or not. Suplex on the concrete.
Now, please tell fans at home, I don't want to interrupt you, but what does that feel like to be suplexed? There's nowhere for you to land but hard on that concrete.
Yeah, it's definitely jarring. One of the things that I did during my career was that I did take a lot of blows on the concrete floor. Fans had a tendency to think that our ring area was a lot softer and more forgiving than it actually was. And by going out to the concrete, you kind of eliminate that concept. The fans knew that it was hard. They may not be know everything that goes on, but I mean, anybody can tell that, there's not a whole lot of give in the cold concrete floor. This is a move, Coach, that I invented, later stolen by Diamond Dallas Page, among others, the spinning, catch the boot, spin, Cactus Jack clothesline.
You invented that.
I believe I did. Yes. I invented several things. Now, look, it became hard to discern, but basically, the things that worked were stolen by other people, which kind of left me only with the really painful stuff I'd invented to call my own.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
like basically, every time Hurricane comes out to the ring with that goofy ring entrance, he is ripping off the former Dude Love. What's up with that? Now I've ripped him off, so we're even. But in answer to your question, this was a big program for me, this thing with Sting. The fact is we clicked. He enjoyed the matches, and I enjoyed them as well. And at one point, I really honestly thanked him for what he'd done for my career, and he was kind of stunned. I guess no one had actually said stuff to him like, thanking him for what he'd done for the family.
Now, I had heard that at one point Sting did not want to work with you. Is that right?
Well, it wasn't that he didn't want to work with me. It's that no one had told me that I was in there to kind of feed him. I'd been told that I was kind of coming in a main event capacity, and Sting knew the real deal. And so we had, not words, but we had a discussion in the Meadowlands. The first night we actually had our match. He's getting mad. I'm slapped him. That's disrespectful to the Stinger. And so I pretty much said, hey, I'll tell you what. How about we go out here this one time and we give it a try. And if you're not happy, we'll pick up the pieces from there. And I still remember, the look on his face when we did a couple things that I wanted to do, and it really went over well with the Meadowlands crowd. It was like a big smile on his face. He was not used to working with guys that were willing to, to get him over. And I've always contended that there's no reason. The Cactus Jack clothesline, a specialty move, now ripped off by over half the WWE roster.
No, the Cactus Jack clothesline, where did you invent the fact that you would clothesline somebody and continue over with them and give your own body a whole lot of beat down?
I had seen it done a couple of times before. I started doing it in 86 or 87. And actually it was a wild, out-of-control clothesline at one time, so it looked like $1 million, but it hurt not only my opponent, but myself as well. So I had to kind of tone it down and ended up doing it within some kind of control. So it ended up being a staple of the Cactus Jack diet. Oh, my goodness.
Now working with a guy like a Sting, and you work with a lot of great guys that are in phenomenal shape, do they have to change how they work with you?
What are you trying to get at, Coach? That maybe I wasn't in phenomenal?
Not at all, but your style was different than what theirs was.
Yes, but I think that really worked. First off, I said this on Canadian television in response to some comments that Hulk Hogan made about my physique, that I think you'd have to ask guys like Rock and Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels if I was in good shape. I think they'd tell you that I was.
That's what I was going to ask.
Is deceptively good strength. I wouldn't go so far as to say I had that good condition. I'm loving the chair there. I'm actually showing my affection for the chair because the chair has been good to me. So I'm working on that back rib area. You know what? It really helped guys like Sting, I think, to work the different style. And I think that, the great performers bring out the best in other people. And at my best, Coach, I'll go out on a limb. I'll say I'll put myself in that classification. I think that I brought out the best in a guy like Sting, and I think he appreciated it. Yeah, this could be part of the reason I have trouble sleeping at night. I do.
Well, do you continue to hit your head
on the back? Yeah, on the back of the head,
and
I do a lot of stretching of the neck, as some people who've been around me and look at me while I drive and think I have an enormous amount of facial tics. It's not a facial tic. I'm just stretching that neck continually because of the damage I put my body through.
You said a few moments ago that up until this point, this was your greatest match in your mind that you've ever had. How would you rate this? In all of your matches all time, where would you put this match?
You know what? I mean, it might still be in my top 10. I had a little book I put out called Foley is Good. Maybe you heard of it. It was a #1 New York Times phenomenal bestseller. But I listed it somewhere in the top 10 there.
We're trying to focus on the new fans now.
Oh, the new fans.
So now you're still trying to sell your book.
No, I'm really not.
We got the DVD and
stuff. That was a great. You know what I like here is a lot of good give and take, and the transition moves. Or the big moves are not just used in transition. They're really used to, I think, amplify, the suffering that we're going through.
And that's what I've been noticing throughout this entire match is that because of the pace, I think a lot of matches maybe today are so fast-paced that the fans can't really understand the impact of a move like that.
It looks like I screwed up there. I think what we were trying to get over was the fact that I had injured myself and couldn't quite get the stinger. That's sometimes you need some announcers to pick up on some of these nonverbal cues. I know that you and Snow have a great deal of difficulty doing that type of thing, but that's why I'm here, Coach, to tell you. Now here's the elbow off the second rope. I would have done it off the top, but I don't have that kind of balance. Tell you the truth, people wonder why. That's the God's honest truth. If I had the balance, I would have come off that top rope.
Have you ever at all, and I know in this match you just, some huge moves, and then everybody remembers probably the biggest risk of your career against The Undertaker. Has there ever been a time when you got up somewhere and you said, I've got to do this move, and you were scared or you were nervous, or you said, I don't think I can do this?
Well, man, the Hell in a Cell is a perfect example. I think things are really going to pick up here. I really am fond of the way this ended up. It's kind of nice for me. I'm experiencing it anew. I don't remember everything that went on. But, yeah, the Hell in a Cell example, I was absolutely terrified. I'm afraid of heights, So I think if I hadn't talked about how I was going to start that match out in the cage, I hadn't pretty much bragged about it the entire locker room, I would have backed out. I would have climbed up in that cage. It's a good thing, Coach. Oh, there's to the knee, and down goes Foley. It's nice. He was kind of chopping a tree down there. That's the way it seemed. I was putting on the Scorpion Deathlock. Oh, and off we tumble. I like the way that worked out. But yeah, the truth is, if I had gone up there and looked at it during the day, I would have backed out. It was really terrifying. But that was a special example, an extraordinary example. But by and large, Coach, not to sound tough, but I did accept going into these big matches that there'd be a certain amount of pain involved. And I never considered my career to be that high risk. I considered it high impact. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the things I did were not wild, out of control. They were very measured, very thought out. Not necessarily the moves thought out, but the idea and the style, structure would be thought out. And I accepted that as one of the consequences. And to tell you the truth, I paid it gladly.
Now, a lot of people wonder when you're going through a match like this. Like at this point, you've been going 13 to 15 minutes. You've had a great match. Do you realize at this point how good of a match you've had, or do you even think about that?
Yeah, at this point, it was really clicking to me. I think this is it. If this was a modern day match, we would have had to have added about 17 other moves on top of that. Right. But at that point in '92, that was a very believable way to finish the match. Yeah, I realized it was going on, that it was going very well, and walking to the back, Bill Watts, who was our boss then, he looked at me and, not an ultra-sensitive guy, Bill Watts, but he kind of grabbed me by the shoulder and he said, it just doesn't get any better than that. And that was a big, big compliment. And I drove home. It was about 400 miles, I guess, from Mobile to Atlanta, 350 at the least. And I was thinking about that match every step of the way and just didn't think I had it in me to have a better match. And fortunately, as I progressed in WWE, I was able to prove myself wrong.
All right, there it was. Cactus Jack and Sting back in 1992 at Beach Blast in WCW. That's a Mick Foley DVD extra. He is Mick Foley. I'm the coach.